now watching I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel.
I shot him 6 times!
What is going on, horror fanatics? Welcome to I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel, and welcome to episode 3 of the podcast. I Shot Him 6 Times horror movie podcast. In this episode, I will be doing a Terrifier 1 and 2 film review. I have grown completely enamored with this franchise. I was heavily skeptical of it when I first heard about it. Not really into I love brutality, but I'm not into over excessive brutality for the most part. But this movie definitely has caught my attention. You know, this franchise has caught my attention, and I'm really excited to talk about it because I've recently caught up with both films, and I feel like Damien Leone is really a talented director and special effects makeup artist, but he's a great storyteller as well. And that is what has really caught my attention with Terrifier, is the storytelling about it. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, in the first film, you know, there really wasn't a lot of deep storytelling, but there was elements and layers added to the first movie that we pick up on in the second movie that encapsulates that the first movie has an even broader story than what you might have thought going into it. So this is definitely going to be a fun time, you guys. I'm so excited to get into it and go down this rabbit hole, as I also will be doing theories for Terrifier 3. As you know, Terrifier 3 will be released later on this year. So I'm going to do my best as we get more updates, as we get more, behind the scenes looks, so on and so forth. I'm going to be doing my best to keep up on everything Terrifier 3 as we close in on the release of the film. If you haven't done so already, please shoot this episode of the podcast a like. Definitely helps out with the YouTube algorithm a ton. If you happen to be a new viewer here to this channel, please shoot that subscribe button if you like horror movie content, as well shoot that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates to the channel. And if you would like to become a member here to the channel, shoot over to the channel dashboard, shoot that join button that you see displayed there on the channel dashboard. Guys, I'm really excited to delve into this. Now I'm going to, give you guys a heads up. Basically, how I'm going to do this is basically I have some overlays here from both films. So basically, I'm going to be touching on basically kind of, I want to say, going scene by scene, but in so many ways I will be doing that as part of my review so that we can, really dig deep into what we are seeing here with the Terrifier franchise. And I'm excited to get into it. I really am. I'm a huge fan of the Sienna Shaw character from Terrifier 2. I think that she has the potential, especially in the third one, if all goes well and it doesn't flop, that this character has the potential to go down as one of the greatest final girls of all time. And I'm really interested to see what direction they're going to take, where Damien Leone is going to take Sienna Shaw and her brother Jonathan's story in Terrifier 3 and encapsulate it with Art's story, because there is definitely a connection between Art and these characters. And I have some theories about what that connection is, and I'm going to get to that later on in the episode. But before I do start here with this spoiler review for Terrifier 1 and 2, I'm going to check you guys' comments out. As I see, we have some people here in the chats, in the comment section. What's up, Val? I seen you messaged a few minutes ago. I hope you're having a great day, Val. Good to see you here. What's up, Oliver? I hope you're having a great day, man. One of my channel members here to the channel. Good to see you as always, Oliver. Hey, what's up, Gina? I hope you're having a great day. And real quick, I do want to acknowledge this because I didn't get to the other day. Gina, my Chunky Geordie, is a member here to the channel, 9-month anniversary. I greatly appreciate all of your support, Gina. No matter what I'm talking about, and I know you're a big Scream fan, but no matter what I'm talking about, you always show up and show support. And that just really means a lot to me, because you guys all know here, yes, I'm a big Halloween fan. Yes, I'm a big Scream fan, but I'm a big horror movie fan. And I like to talk about other horror movies outside of Halloween and Scream. So I always appreciate the support, Gina, and always love to see you show up here in the chats and hang out with me. Calm down, puppies. Calm down. You guys already know. You guys know they're a part of the stream now. Like these dogs, they see me go live, and it's just like, oh yeah, you know what I mean. You already know what time it is, man. You're gonna have to include us. Like, so the pups say hello. Hey, what's up, Dom? I hope you're having a great day, man. Glad to see you here. Excuse me. Dom saying I have a theory or speculation. Oh, excuse me. That we might have an end credit where Art the Clown goes to a swamp and comes across Victor Crowley from Hatchet, and they both are about to fight, and then the scene cuts. That's an interesting theory speculation, man. I never thought of it like that. If I'm being honest, and I think I might end up doing a video here in the coming weeks about it. I actually think Art is kind of in so many ways like a demon manifestation and creation of what Michael Myers was supposed to be. I'm not going to get into grave detail why I believe that, as I want to save that for a video, as I want to be completely detailed about why I believe that. But I'm not against that theory. It's interesting because I personally think over the last decade or so, when it comes to slashers and when it comes to newer slashers, outside of Michael Myers, outside of Ghostface, outside of Jason, Freddy, so on and so forth, the new age slashers, I consider both Victor Crowley and Art the Clown as the top. Some may not agree with me. Some may agree with me. I think the job that Adam Green has done with Hatchet and the job that Damien Leone is doing with Terrifier, I think it merits that credit, in my opinion. Like, I think in terms of modern, newer slasher characters, Victor Crowley and Art the Clown are definitely up there when it comes to the newer modern slashers. Like they're the top two, in my opinion. I can't. If you guys have any other suggestions, hit the chat and let me know. But me personally, I got to give it to Victor Crowley and Art the Clown because they're newer creations. They're different in so many ways in terms of what we are used to getting in terms of, a regular masked psychopath. Yes, Art wears a clown mask and stuff like that, but there's so much more to him. And Victor Crowley, he's a creature from the swamp. So there's definitely, that's what I like about those two characters is that that's where they differ compared to Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy, Ghostface, so on and so forth. So, hey, man, I'm not against that theory at all. I would, hey, Victor Crowley versus Art the Clown, sign me up. Can you understand how fucking brutal that movie will be? You thought Freddy versus Jason was pretty brutal. This shit will be amplified times 30. So, I'm not against it, Dom. I'm not against it. And Dom, no, I have not still gotten around to watching Chain Letter, man. I still got to get around to that. It's just, it's a busy time for me right now. I'm trying to get the stream and the podcast back up and on a consistent basis while also trying to, just keep up with the videos and the updates and stuff like that. So hopefully here soon when I do have like a moment to really like hang out and not have to worry about content or anything else, then I can really settle down and watch it. But I haven't forgot about it. It's on my list. I just got to get around to it. All right, so I'm caught up with everybody's chats. All right, so now we're going to get into it, you guys. And you know what? Before we do get into it, though, let's get some music cranking up in this bad boy. It's been a while since I played some music here on the channel. Where them 600 horses at? There we go. Turn that volume down to a 5. Yes, I said 5. All right. All right, there we go. Check out a couple more of you guys' comments that came in, and then we are going to start the spoiler review for Terrifier 1 and 2. Obviously, going to start with Terrifier 1 and just work our way through. Man, I hope so. That'd be cool. I'll tell you this. Yeah, that's right. I know Adam Green is going to be in Texas. I'm going to Texas in May. I don't know if Damien's going to be there. The last I checked the list, he is not on the list. Neither is Lauren Rivera and the entire Terrifier crew, but they were there last year. So, and given that May is, a little bit closer to the release date of Terrifier 3, who knows? They might show up in Texas, to promote and, show up at the convention to promote part 3 and so on and so forth. I really hope so. That would be cool if they did end up showing up to Texas Frightmare, because then I'd be able to talk to both Adam Green and Damien Leone, hopefully, even if it's for like a minute, 2 minutes, and get their thoughts on, maybe merging together for an Art the Clown versus Victor Crowley film. Oliver's asking, I've always wanted to ask you, have you ever seen the movie The Rise of Vernon Wells? No, I have not. I've heard of it. I've heard of Vernon Wells before. Isn't he like a serial killer, like in real life, like a true story? Let me know about that, Oliver. I'm pretty sure I'm correct about that, but I could be wrong. But I've heard that name before, Vernon Wells. Dominic saying, Oliver behind the mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon is so good. I've heard of that name too, Leslie Vernon. I gotta catch up on some of these other stuff, some of these other, movies that display serial killers or characters, so on and so forth. I've not been able to catch up with these type of movies. I say, isn't Leslie Vernon an actual serial killer as well? Both you and Oliver, let me know if I'm right about Vernon Wells and Leslie Vernon. If so, there's something up with the fucking Vernon name, to tell you that. Shit. All right, everybody. So without wasting any more time, let's get into Terrifier 1 and 2 film review. As I stated at the beginning of the stream and the episode, I'm going to be having some overlays here, and we're just going to be going across both films, showing some, some clips from the film, some pictures, so on and so forth. Basically, a scene-by-scene breakdown, if you will. It's so many ways. Okay, everybody. We start off Terrifier 1 with the beginning of the film where we see this TV being played sitting on what looks like to be a table or on the floor. It is sitting on the floor. That's right. Because they actually kind of recreate this scene in Terrifier 2 as well. So we see this TV sitting on the floor, and we see this woman here talking on the TV. Obviously, she's a reporter. She's a TV host. And then we proceed to see this other woman come up with her. Now, this other woman, whose face is brutally mutilated, has a very big part of not only Terrifier 1, but Terrifier 2 story. And obviously, I'm going to reveal who this character is once we get to the point of the movie. But this is how the movie starts off. We get a TV playing. We get this reporter talking to this woman who is brutally mutilated, talking about the Miles County massacre and Art the Clown. And she goes on to state that Art the Clown is dead, that she saw him die. And this is where you see Art the Clown kick the TV, and then we get the credits. We get all that good stuff. And then you see Art the Clown putting on his costume, getting dolled up, getting all that stuff, ready. And this is basically just the intro of the movie or whatnot. So we're basically not getting into the goods yet, but you do get a sneak peek of Art the Clown and where he is at. But I do want to point this out real quick. I'm starting to feel that Art, as a human, before he became an entity, I do have some, things about that as well. Before he became a full-on entity, I think that Art might have been like a mechanic of some sort, maybe an engineer, something like John Kramer. The reason why I say that is when you look at his weaponry, you look at his bag of, murder tools, a lot of that stuff that you see looks like something that somebody, a carpenter or a mechanic would have, those type of tools and stuff like that, a welder, whatnot. So I think that is really interesting about the Art the Clown character. Even though there's no confirmation on that, I think it's really interesting to speculate on what he was before he became Art the Clown, a serial killer, murderer. Okay, so now we move on to the beginning, the actual beginning of the movie, the opening scene. And you see this reporter here, this is the reporter that was in the TV image at the beginning. Give me one second, I do have the names here. Okay, so here we go. So we get this character in Monica Brown, who we see her on the phone. She's in the back of her dressing room of her TV station or wherever she works at, what have you. She just got done wrapping up the interview with Miles County survivor Vicky Hayes. Now, again, Vicky has a broader story in the thick of things in Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2. As I stated, we will get to that point. But you see Monica here on the phone, and you hear her talking to her boyfriend or her husband, so on and so forth, and she's talking about the interview with Vicky, talking about basically how badly mutilated Vicky's face is. Basically, in so many ways, she's slandering Vicky, like really shitting on her, making fun of her, so on and so forth, and even told her boyfriend, if I ever end up looking like that, kill me, shoot me, whatnot, whatever she said and stuff like that. And just basically just having no regard for this young woman who went through a traumatic experience. Monica turned out to be a real piece of shit. And as we go along, after she gets off of the phone, you do see Monica hear a noise behind her, which precedes her to check basically the closet of her dressing room. And there's nothing there upon, her first view. But then when she turns back around, you see Victoria pop up from behind her and you see choke her, gouge her eyes out, and basically mutilate her in the way that she was mutilated. And again, this is a great start off, a great opening for the movie because it lets you know off the rip just how brutal this movie is going to be and where Damien Leone is going to go in terms of that brutality and in terms of that violence. And again, I know that's not what a lot of people like to see, but this is his style of directing and character development for the Terrifier franchise. And I'm on board with it. I think the reason why I love the brutality so much in these two films is that it doesn't look fake. It looks legit. It looks real. Like the makeup and the effects are fantastic that Damien does. And I think that that's why this franchise has become so popular is because Damien Leon is not afraid to get down and dirty. We talk about it all the time. Sometimes we feel like these directors and these creators kind of hold back with their vision. That's not what we want. So it's definitely good to see, especially at the beginning of the film. That's a tone set. You know what I mean? It's good to see, that type of, direction being going with. So we're not surprised. It's not like we got something that was like, oh, you know what I mean? Wow, she just kind of messed up a little bit. But then the rest of the movie is like, oh my God, this is so brutal. Like, why was the first kill any different than the others? No, every single kill is over excessively brutal and it sets the tone. And I love that it sets the tone in that way. Okay, so we move on here. Okay, good thing I got the other computer. Good thing I got the other computer loaded up because this one is just I don't know what's going on with StreamYard and my buttons. I don't know what's up. But anyway, so let's get back in. We then see these two young ladies in Dawn. Give me a second, guys. My apologies. Okay, an alert just came through. It kind of just took me off guard for a second. But okay, so we get these two young ladies, Tara Hayes and Dawn, her friend. Now, obviously, you hear the last name Hayes, so obviously already you're going to know that there is a connection between Victoria Hayes and Tara Hayes, as we will find out later in the movie. It's going to say here now that they are sisters, so on and so forth. We are following these two young women on Halloween night of 2017. And as they move along, they're out having a great time, partying it up, living their lives. They go to Dawn's car where they're about to leave, and then basically Tara acknowledges Art is hanging out in the cut in the alleyway. And obviously she gets creeped out. You see a clown. I like to think that most human beings, when they see somebody dressed up in a clown outfit, especially walking in the street, they get a little bit, on edge. Because, a few years ago, there was actually people dressed as clowns going and attacking. So her reaction to seeing Art is definitely merited. Now, after this, basically Art, he smiles at them, he toys with them a little bit, just kind of just stares at them, and then basically he just disappears in the thin air. Well, then we follow the girls into a pizza shop. They decide to get pizza because basically they're not feeling too well, and also Dawn is not trying to drive drunk, and Tara doesn't want her to drive drunk. So they just decide, you know what? Let's go get some pizza. Let's sober up. Well, here, Art follows them into this pizza shop, and he continues to toy with Tara. He does these mime poses. He's smiling. He's waving. Like this is the personality of Art the Clown. And I think, just like in the beginning, was setting the tone brutality-wise, this scene sets the tone on what we should expect from Art the Clown, the character. This is what sets him apart from a lot of horror icons, in my opinion, is that this guy has so much personality without saying a word. And that, to me, is just fantastic character development. You don't always have to say things to be funny. Facial expressions and mannerisms do the job as well. But as you see, we see Art. He was toying with Tara, even to the point where he takes a quarter off of the table, puts it in the machine, and pulls out a fake ring and puts it on Tara's finger. And, just basically toying with her, having fun with her and stuff. Obviously, she's visibly creeped out, but not really trying to cause a scene. Well, after this, Art ends up going into the bathroom to where we end up seeing the pizza owner, the owner of the pizza shop, kicks Art out because Art had did something in the bathroom that obviously he wasn't pleased with. So Art gets kicked out of the pizza shop. Tara and Dawn see him leave, go on about their business. Well, Tara and Dawn end up going back to Dawn's car or whatnot. Tara realizes that Dawn has a flat. So she asks Dawn, do you have a spare tire? Dawn's like, no, I don't have no spare tire. If I'm not mistaken, she said it wasn't even her car. So now they're basically stranded at this point and are in need of a ride. This is where Vicky Hayes, Tara's sister, does come into play. But we pan back to the pizza shop for a second where we see the cook having to clean up the mess that Art made, to where he literally defecated all over the bathroom and he draws his name on the wall and shit. And listen, guys, I know it's disgusting and stuff, but it's hilarious because this is who Art the Clown, the character, is. He is just over the top, over excessive, and I'm all here for it. I really am. I love it. It's hilarious to me. So after, Art basically vandalized the bathroom, Cook is cleaning it up, so on and so forth, we move on to where Tara calls Vicky. Vicky is a college student. She has a test to do in the morning. So Tara was asking her sister basically come get her while she's stranded. Well, initially, Vicky was not going to go. She had, like I said, she had finals in the morning. She had stuff to do. However, her roommate busted into the room with her boyfriend. Things start to get a little hot and heavy. And Vicky realizes, you know what? I think it's maybe in my best interest to go pick up my sister. So Vicky agrees to go pick up Tara at this point. And then we pan back to the car with Tara and Dawn, where Tara is actually talking to Dawn about the possibility that Art the Clown could have been the one to slash her tires. But Dawn is like, really brushing it off. He's not buying what Tara is saying, so on and so forth, even though Tara is convinced that it is a very high possibility. Dawn is just not having it. Dawn is drunk. She's in her own world, and she just ain't having any of that. So then we pan back to the pizza shop where we see the cook, taking off his gloves, so on and so forth. But then as he turns around, he sees his boss's head carved into a jack-o'-lantern and lit in flames. And then Art proceeds to rise, above and present himself to where he ends up attacking the cook and gets rid of him in brutal fashion. Like, look at that. Ugh. Like, beautiful. Beautiful destruction, I like to call it. Beautiful destruction. So he gets rid of the pizza shop cook. We pan back to the car. At this point, Tara is inside of this house, this building, or whatnot, because she had to go use the bathroom, where she ran into a man named Mike, who is actually an exterminator. He's there to exterminate the rat infestation that is in this building. And initially, he wasn't going to let her in because he could get in trouble, but he does let her in to go use the bathroom, which leaves Dawn outside alone. Well, while playing on her phone and while listening to the radio, Dawn listens through as it is reported that the pizza shop owner and his cook have been brutally murdered, and the description matches Art the Clown's description that Dawn and Tara see in the pizza shop while they were in there. Keep in mind, Dawn also took a selfie with Art the Clown. So after hearing this on the radio, she goes through her phone and checks the selfie, and she realizes that basically, in so many words, what Tara was saying was right about this guy. Not only is he creepy, but he could be dangerous. You then hear the car door open, and you hear Dawn say, "Oh my God, you're not going to believe this," or whatnot. I got to tell you something. To where she turns, and it's Art. Art is now in the car with her, and then you hear her scream, and then obviously we pan to the next scene. But you already know at this point, Art has captured Dawn, and he has plans for her. As we find out later in the movie, those are some really brutal plans. We then move on back into the building where we see Tara encountering this homeless woman who seems very distraught. She seems like, she's just out of it. Well, she's carrying this doll baby, and she's basically, rocking it and stuff like that. She's called the Cat Lady. That's her name in the film. She's known as the Cat Lady. And she has this doll baby, and she's talking about her daughter, Emily. This is my daughter, Emily. That's what she terms the doll. That's what she said the doll's name is. And why that is important is because later on in Terrifier 2, we find out more about Cat Lady and more about Emily. So, again, this encounter between Cat Lady and Tara, basically, this is just in so many ways the tone setter for Emily in Terrifier 2. That's what I will term this. This is a tone setter. This scene is a tone setter for what the Emily character is going to be in Terrifier 2. Okay, so now we move on. Okay, so now we move on as Tara goes to exit the building. She does run into Art the Clown at the front door, to where obviously she gets spooked out. He actually kind of like fake lunges at her, which prompts her to go run and hide. Well, she goes to run and hide in the garage. Art follows her, stalks her. It's a full game of cat and mouse for a few minutes until he creeps up behind her and starts stabbing her in the leg. She does fight him off. She's able to get away temporarily, but then subsequently, after she makes it to the top floor and she sees Mike cleaning, she's trying to get his attention. She can't get his attention, and Art comes up from behind her and sedates her with a needle. This leads to this part where we see Tara bound to a chair with tape around her mouth, tape around her legs, and she's bound to a chair, and she's like looking around her surroundings, trying to wonder where she's at. On the side of her, Art is going through his tool bag, so on and so forth. Art gets up, starts toying with her, acts like he's going to kill her, but then proceeds to walk over in front of Tara to this area where he has something covered up. Now, I'm not going to show this because I do not want to get flagged by YouTube or nudity, all that stuff. But underneath this blanket, underneath this tarp, is Dawn, Tara's friend. And what Art proceeds to do next, in my opinion, can be considered one of the most gruesome horror movie kills of all time. He takes a saw. Now, mind you, Dawn is upside down, hanging. He takes a saw and starts from her vaginal area and proceeds to split her in half. I remember watching this movie a couple years ago. I actually did a live watch party with my buddy Bob on Terrifier, the original film. And I remember when that part came up. And I'm just sitting there watching it. I'm just like, he's not about to do what I think he's about to do, is he? And then Bob just cracks up laughing. And then he does the deed. And it's just like, oh, shit. I did not expect it to get that damn deep. I did not expect it to get that gruesome. But it definitely did. So basically, Art has Tara watch her friend Dawn basically be, in so many ways, split in half. And that's a gruesome sight to have to watch, especially if that's your best friend and all that stuff. But that's just who Art is. This is how brutal this character is. We now move on to Tara. She gets out of the chair. She's able to remove the tape, fight Art off, so on and so forth. This leads to an encounter between the two where you see Tara get her shots in. She's given Art the business for the most part. But then Art, being as slick as he is, while he's on the ground and Tara believes that she has him, she's screaming for him to get up. Art, from his pant leg, pulls out a gun and shoots Tara. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, when I first watched this movie, I did not expect that to happen because I thought that Tara was going to be our final girl. So when we see Art shoot her, it's just like, holy shit, wait a minute. Let me check the timestamp here. How much more of this movie we got to go? And then you realize there's still at least a good half hour left to go. And it's like, oh, maybe Tara isn't the final girl. And then obviously that was later to be revealed to be true as we see Art proceed to shoot her multiple times in the face and completely eliminate the Tara Hayes character. Again, which is something that I thought was completely unexpected. I thought Tara was going to be our final girl, but that found out not to be the case. There was still more story to tell. Well, while he was finishing off Tara, Cat Lady witnesses Art doing this, to where Art looks at her and basically gives her a smile and it prompts her to, run away, so on and so forth. But then we see Cat Lady run into Mike, the exterminator, where she's trying to warn him that, Art's killing everybody, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Like, you got to stop him. Like, and he's not believing a word that she's saying. He thinks that she's going crazy. Well, then, shortly after that, though, I didn't put that clip in here because I wanted to, try to move along as fast as I can. But shortly after Mike runs into Cat Lady, you see Mike attempting to call one of his coworkers, or I want to say his boss, and he's on a staircase. You see Art creep up behind him and bash him in the head with a hammer and proceed to bash his cell phone so that nobody can get in contact with him. So at that point in time, Art has, for the time being anyway, eliminated Mike as being a threat. We then pan to the scene where we see Vicky. She has arrived at the building where Tara had told her to pick her up from. She texts Tara. She's trying to get a hold of her, so on and so forth, to where Art sees this on the cell phone and tells Vicky to come around back. He uses Dawn's cell phone to text Vicky to tell her to come around the back so he can lure Vicky into the back of the building, into the garage. We then move on to this hallway scene where we see the Cat Lady walking through the hallway and she runs into Art. And Art has the doll. He has the baby. And he's rocking it and so on and so forth. And the Cat Lady is trying to talk him into giving the baby back. She's, giving him words of sorrow, even to the point where she coddles Art like she's his mother. And you see Art start to suck his thumb. Like, come on. This shit is just rich, you guys. This is fun. Like, this is what I love about this character and what I love about this movie. It's just loads of fun. Like, it's moments like these where Art, leans into her chest and he starts sucking his thumb. You don't see that with horror movie villains. You don't see that with our iconic horror movie characters. So to see something so childish come from an adult, in my opinion, it's fun. I love it. It's hilarious. Now we then move on to Tara is now coming around the back as she was instructed to do. She's looking for Dawn. She's looking for Tara. She's screaming out for them. She's telling them, "Oh, if this is a prank, I'm going to kill you too." But then, as she cuts around the corner, she sees Dawn's mutilated body hanging upside down from the chain, and this obviously causes a reaction where she gets alarmed. And now, at this point, she's trying to find her sister to get out of this building. Well, here we see at this point, we see Vicky encounter a body that is laying on the floor to where she thinks it's her sister Tara or somebody else. Well, then you hear the cat lady in the corner. I know this is a little bit gruesome. I'm surprised I even shared this one and stuff. So let me click off of it. I don't want to get banned. But we see the cat lady saying some words, so on and so forth, to where this person that is laying on the ground is actually Art in a wig, and he starts to basically attack Vicky, so on and so forth. And she gets away, starts to scream, starts to run, so on and so forth. We then pan to the outside where we see another exterminator, which we would assume is Mike's partner, his co-worker, showing up trying to get into the building. Tries to get a hold of Mike, can't get a hold of Mike. Mike's phone has been smashed. He doesn't know this. So what he does is he takes his key that was hidden underneath the mat, and he gets inside the building. He goes looking for Mike, but then he ends up running into Art. Well, he doesn't literally see Art coming up behind him. Art sees him meddling around, and proceeds to get rid of him. So now, for the most part, at least at this point in time, we are thinking that both exterminators are now killed off by Art. We then see Vicky hiding, and she sees Art basically riding around on his tricycle, just having a merry old time, and she's trying to obviously, stay hidden, so on and so forth. Well, then after getting away for a brief period of time from Art, we do see Vicky come across the dead body of her sister Tara. Art had decorated her up in lights and put a circus sign across her. And as you can see, Vicky is visibly distraught. She just found her dead sister. She can't believe it, so on and so forth. To where you see Art start to creep up behind her to attack her. Well, then, as Art goes to attack Vicky, here we see that Mike is actually still alive from that hammer shot, and he knocks out Art for the time being. He grabs a hold of Vicky. He takes her to a more somewhat secure area in the garage or whatnot, to where he calls the cops and he's telling them, "Look, you guys got to get here. This guy's killed mad people. You guys got to get help over here. I'm not waiting. Me and this girl are not waiting. I'm taking her to the hospital," so on and so forth. Well, then after this, you see Art finally get a hold of Mike once again, and this time he does the deed. He finishes Mike off, Michael Myers style at that. He boots the hell out of Mike's head until his head explodes, which many of you know, that came from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and Halloween 2018 with the whole stomping on the head and the brain splat. I thought that was definitely a nice touch and a nice homage to the Halloween franchise. And something to take note of as well before we move on to the next scene is that the Halloween franchise, in my opinion, does play a big role with Damien Leone's vision for Art the Clown and the Terrifier franchise and the movies. Because when you listen to the score, my friend Ryan pointed this out to me. Shout out to you, Ryan, if you end up watching this stream at some point. My friend Ryan pointed this out to me. A lot of the score is one key, which, as we know, is very synonymous with the Halloween franchise. And I just feel like the score for this film, for both Terrifier 1 and 2, is amazing. I absolutely love the score. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. When I woke up this morning and, I said, you know what, I'm going to go, take a shower, get freshened up and all that shit. While I was in the shower, I was listening to the Terrifier theme song. That's how gully I am. That's how much I love the Terrifier score. So now let's move on. So after killing Mike, Vicky attempts to get away. She's hammering her way at the door, trying to get the chain busted to where she succeeds, but Art does grab a hold of her temporarily. Now, I will say this because I think I did kind of miss the part there because I did have to delete some overlays out of this or whatnot. But there is a scene where Vicky is getting choked by Art with a piece of plastic, but she gets away from that sequence and stuff. If I'm not mistaken, I think that sequence leads into her finding Tara. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. So Vicky goes to escape again. Art grabs a hold of her, but she does fight him off once again to where she can get out and basically go into the garage area or what looks like a barn area in so many ways of this factory, of this building, to where she's looking out of the door and she can hear the police sirens in the distance. So now she's getting, she's getting confident that she might actually be able to survive this. You kind of see this in her reaction, like she's like getting excited that the cops are very close. But yet, here you see this truck rev up and the lights turn on and it's Art. And he proceeds to barrel through the door and run Vicky over. Now, we then end up seeing after he runs Vicky over, the police arrive, and the next time we see Art, he is literally eating Vicky's face. Like he is cannibalizing her to where the cops are screaming at him to stop, put his hands up, so on and so forth. Well, here, Art has an entirely different plan for the cops. Puts his left hand up, but his right hand, he's rubbing, he's looking for something. And the cops are telling him, you're going to get shot. Put your hands up, put your hands up. Well, Art had no worry about being shot because that was his plan. As Art would end up pulling out a gun, the gun that we used earlier on Tara, and proceed to use it on himself. I won't say that S word because I do not want to get banned off of YouTube. But he turns the gun on himself to where, at that point, the audience, okay, we think Art the Clown character is dead. He shot himself, and you've seen his brains, splatter and all that. So there's no way that this character can come back, right? Well, pause. We move on to the final shot of the movie, where we see Art's body and multiple other bodies show up at the coroner's office, to where the coroner gets left alone. The others that was with him, they go out to fetch something to eat. A homie said he wanted some bacon, to come back for the long night that was ahead. Well, as he unzips the body bag that contains Art's body, you start to see the lights flicker, you start to hear some thunder roll, so on and so forth, to where it seems like a demonic entity is present. It's in this moment where we see Art be resurrected and can proceed to attack the coroner. And then that's how the movie ends. At least for the time being, anyway. It's what I love about Damien Leone is just when you think it's the end, there's more. So, again, we see this shot with Art. He's attacking the coroner after some paranormal events happen that obviously resurrected him. And in so many ways, it's at this point where you can say that Art the Clown, in so many ways, is a demon. Now, we move on to the actual final shot of the movie, to where we see we are in a psychiatric ward of some sorts or in a hospital. You see these two older adults talking with the doctor, so on and so forth. Well, it is then revealed as they turn the wheelchair around that this is Vicky Hayes. Vicky, as we are now well aware, was at the beginning of the movie in that interview with Monica. She is the one who attacked Monica. She is alive. But as we can see, she is brutally mutilated. Like, it's a sad sight to see. But she makes it out alive somehow, some way. And that lets us know in so many ways that we are going to be getting a second Terrifier film, which, as we are all well aware, that's what happened and stuff. So, real quickly, before I do move on to Terrifier 2's review and stuff like that, I'm going to get to some of you guys' comments, but I want to say, for me, what makes the Terrifier 2016 film classic is when you watch Terrifier 2 and you get all this stuff, all these questions that we had going into Terrifier 2 from Terrifier 1, those questions, for the most part, they get answered. You know, especially when it comes to Victoria Hayes' character and Art the Clown, so on and so forth. Like, I'm not even going to lie to you guys. Terrifier 1 has way more depth in storytelling than I originally thought it did. But basically, part 1 was just the groundwork for an even bigger story to be told, tying in Vicky's character as well as with our newer characters in Terrifier 2. So I think Terrifier 1 is a classic. I love the brutality, but I think the biggest thing for me why I love Terrifier and I love the Art the Clown character is the personality of the character. Like, this character, I said it, earlier. He doesn't have to say a word. He doesn't. All he has to do is do mannerisms and facial expression. And he has more personality than Michael Myers, Jason, put together. In so many ways, Art reminds me of the clown form, non-talking version of Freddy Krueger. That's what it reminds me of. Because as we know, Freddy Krueger was really the one, that character was really the one to add a new layer to the slasher character, a slasher character. Freddy had a personality. Jason, Michael, none of them had a personality. Freddy was the one to stand out of the original, the OG3 of horror, as I like to say. He's the one who stands out because he was different. He had personality. He wasn't just a straight slasher. He'd show up in your dreams. There were supernatural elements to Freddy. And I think you can say the same for the Art the Clown character, especially as we get into Terrifier 2. There are definitely some supernatural elements that is involved with Art the Clown. And I will say this before I get to you guys' comments and move on to Terrifier 2, Terrifier 2's review. I know many people feel that after Art was killed and in so many ways resurrected in the coroner's office, the coroner's room, that is the moment when Art became a demon. I kind of beg to differ with that, and this is why I differ with that. In my opinion, I think Art was already a demon. I know some believe that he was a human before he became a demon, and I'm not arguing that fact. But the reason why I believe that Art was already a demon in Terrifier 1 is, look at it this way. This guy got stabbed through the eye. He got stabbed in the torso. He took a lot of punishment. It wasn't like, Terror didn't do anything to him. It wasn't like Art didn't take any punishment. Art got fucked up. He did. His eyeball got taken out, and this guy was still moving. What happens? He shoots him, he turns the gun on himself and uses it. What happens? He comes back. So in my opinion, he was already a demon before the ending in the coroner's office. He was already a demon. I mean, I get it. Some humans can take an enormous amount of pain and still keep pushing. But I don't know anybody in my right mind or in real life. I don't know anybody who literally gets stabbed through the skull to the point where the eye socket pops out. And then they just pop back up like nothing happened. So, in my opinion, I think Art was already a demon before the ending of Terrifier 1. Okay, so now I'm going to get to some of you guys' comments, catch up with you guys real quick, and then we're going to move on to Terrifier 2. Be sure to shoot the like button if you haven't done so already. It definitely helps out with the channel, and it helps out with this episode of the podcast. Again, if you happen to be a new viewer coming across this stream and this episode of the podcast, please do me a favor. Not only shoot the like button, but shoot that subscribe button and the notification bell so you get all the latest content updates to the channel when I'm live streaming, uploading a video, a short, anything. And again, if you would like to become a member here to the ISH6XS YouTube horror movie channel, shoot over to the channel dashboard, shoot that join button that I have displayed on the channel dashboard, and become a member. I would love to have you here. Okay, let's overlay up. All right, so now let's get to some of you guys' comments. I'm interested in what you guys think and feel about Terrifier, the original Terrifier. Right? Yeah, Dom saying I thought the interviewer was going to be killed by Art the Clown. Right. I didn't expect that opening. And again, that's why, in my opinion, it works so well because Damien Leone does the unexpected. And I think that that's why both of these films work. He's willing to do the unexpected and he's willing to give the audience a shock factor that we've never seen before. Okay, Gina, I understand that. Hey, I will be one of the first to tell you this. Terrifier is not everybody's cup of tea. It is an overly excessive, brutal film. So if you are not somebody who really likes a lot of brutality with their horror movies, Terrifier is not for you. I will tell you that. Regina, my chunky Geordie, is saying I've only seen the kill count of these films and decided not my cup of tea. But I love hearing people's opinions. Awesome. That's what's up. That's what's up, Gina. Hey, I love it. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't have to like every single horror movie. But that's awesome that you're willing to have an open mind and still hear other people's opinions on said movie, even if you decided that movie isn't for you. I think that's really cool. Dominic St. Clair saying, I feel like Art the Clown, after killing the main girls, he was not done. He wanted to kill more people, so he kept on killing people in the building. I can agree with that. I can, especially because anybody who gets in his way, it's just like Michael Myers. That's why I say there's some parallels between these characters. Anybody who crosses paths with Art, you're in trouble. It doesn't matter if you're his target or not. If he sees you, your ass has to be grabbed. And that's the truth. I agree with that, Tom. I do. The Video Master 64 Reborn. What's going on, buddy? I hope you're having a great day. Who has seen the Robert Patrick seasons of the X Files? Because I have, and they are fantastic. I remember being younger, and I think seeing like one or two episodes, but I never really got into it. I'll be honest, I liked X Files a little bit. I think I really liked like the first couple seasons, and then it just kind of wore on me a little bit and stuff. But I do love the Smolder and Scully characters. Mulder and Scully. The Mulder and Scully characters. I can't even say the fucking names right. It's been so long since I watched X Files, but it's so weird because it's been so long since I watched the show. But that damn theme song seems to always play in my head every once in a while. However the fuck you do it, I tried. But again, maybe it's something I'll have to revisit. I fucks with Robert Patrick. I think he's a fantastic actor. I think he's underrated, in my opinion. I don't think he gets enough love. Him in Terminator 2, what? He was a fucking man. That's my favorite movie of Robert Patrick, Terminator 2. Absolutely killed it. My Chunky Jordy saying, sorry, not sure. I used to do bar work, so could never catch it. I'm on watching Lost on TV. It's really good. I've heard of Lost. I heard it's pretty fucking good. Might eventually get X Files, but not anytime soon, as I have over 500 DVDs as a gift to watch. Holy shit. You got a whole shrine there, Gina. Shit, I need to catch up with you. Tom's saying he's definitely a demon. I believe so as well. I believe he made a deal with the devil to have eternal life so he can kill everyone all he wants. And when he is injured or is killed, he comes back. I think that's a really great take. Honestly, I do. I can see that happening. Again, we're going to get into it here with Terrifier 2, the review, and then I'm going to, give my thoughts on what I feel, and then obviously share my opinions and theories for Terrifier 3. But man, I don't think he's just a demon. I think I'll just say this, Dom, before I really get into it. There's some familial tie between him and our newer characters in Terrifier 2. I'll leave it at that at this point in time. But I agree with you, man. I definitely do think he's a demon. I think people, those who say, oh, he didn't become a demon until Terrifier 2, I don't believe that. You look at the punishment that man took, and you mean to tell me a normal human being is coming back from that? Nah, he was already a demon, in my opinion. We just didn't start seeing those demon elements come into place up until the coroner scene, and then even more so in Terrifier 2. But I agree with that 100%, Dom. As my old co-workers used to say, 100 for 100. All right, so now we are going to move on to part 2 of this Terrifier film review. Obviously, spoiler review for Terrifier 2. Let me get caught up here in these overlays, and we'll get started. I'm caught up with all of you guys' chats, so I'm really interested into delving into Terrifier 2. And I will say this here first. You know, I like Terrifier 2 more than I like Terrifier 1, but that's not a knock on Terrifier 1. I just thought Terrifier 2, from a storytelling standpoint, really blew the fucking door open on this franchise. And I cannot wait for part 3 to see the encapsulation. If part 3 is going to be the encapsulation. Part 4, don't know yet. So, have to wait and see. But I like Terrifier 2 more than I like Terrifier 1 because the storytelling is just even more broader and it just adds more layers and elements to the Art the Clown character that I think is really, really badass. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into the spoiler review for Terrifier 2. All right, so the movie starts off where we picked up at in the original, where we left off at in the coroner's office. We see the coroner crawling. Art is creeping behind him, basically resurrected. He's back, so on and so forth, to where obviously we know what's about to happen next. The coroner is going to meet his very gruesome, bloody demise, and that's exactly what happens. We then move on to seeing Art show up at this laundromat where he is going to wash his blood-soaked clothes. And there's a man that is sitting in there, but he's sleeping, he's knocked out, so on and so forth. So Art is sitting there, he's reading the newspaper. Now, I did have this newspaper clipping that Art was reading in here, but I had to delete it out because I had to edit it out because StreamYard only allows me up to 100 files in terms of overlays. So I had to cut some of these stuff out in order to make the 100 overlay mark. But we see Art here in the laundromat. He was reading a newspaper, but then he hears a noise to the side of him. And as he looks to the side, he sees this young woman who we end up finding out is Emily, who turns out to be the cat lady's daughter. This is the cat lady's daughter from the original Terrifier film. Now, someone asks who haven't seen Terrifier or haven't seen Terrifier 2 or haven't seen both or just are not really familiar with the background and the story, Emily is the first victim that Art the Clown killed, which is why she is in his presence in demon form. And it seems whatever this entity that controls Art, it also has the power to turn his victims into his allies. And I'm going to further elaborate on that when we get to the end of the review. We then get introduced to one of our new characters and our main protagonist, in Sienna Shaw, portrayed by Lauren Lavara. And guys, I'm going to say this right now. I just feel like this character is just so badass. Lauren Lavara, Damien Leon could not have found a better actress to play this character, in my opinion. She is badass. She's a legit badass. A lot of people may not know this, but Lauren is a mixed martial artist. Like, she's a stunt woman. Like, she's legit. Like, she's a legit badass. So, in my opinion, this was the perfect choice in terms of an actress to play the Sienna Shaw character, who we know later on in the movie not only has a connection to Art the Clown, but her character alone is of grave importance to stopping Art the Clown, as she is supposed to be in so many ways a princess warrior in so many ways. As you can see, she has the wings there that she is creating for her Halloween costume, so on and so forth. Now, I'm going to get into more detail later on as to why she is making this costume and what the costume means to her and to the overall context of the movie and the Art the Clown character. So, move on, and we also get introduced to her brother, Jonathan. Now, Jonathan, he's also a very big key player in this story because he's the one who, in so many ways, contextualizes what is to be believed about the Art the Clown character. So, we find out that the family, Sienna, Jonathan, and their mother Barbara, they lost the husband, the father of the kids, to a horrible suicide. I said that word. Hopefully, I don't get banned. But unfortunately, their father took his own life. But there's elements to the father that we find out about later on in the movie. We found out that the father was really sick. He had a brain tumor, and that he actually started to see things. What those things are, we'll touch on them later on here in the stream. We then move on we see Sienna in her room. She's falling asleep. She's about to go to bed, to where we see the TV, wherever channel she had the TV on, it cuts. And it cuts to this clown cafe show, to where we eventually see Sienna a part of this clown cafe show. Now, obviously, this is a dream sequence for the Sienna Shaw character, but not only is this a dream sequence, this is where she gets introduced to Art the Clown, as they are at Art the Clown's Clown Cafe. And as we get into the scene, you see a bunch of other characters just in the background dancing. You know, it's supposed to be somewhat of a funny, happy setting, but it turns into a massacre as Art pulls out a machine gun and starts blasting everybody away with no care in the world. Just goes straight ham with the machine gun and kills everybody, of course, but Sienna in this dream. So Sienna, she crawls her way to the table. That it was a kitchen table that had a little boy sitting at this kitchen table eating Art's Krispies, Art's cereal that contains not only cereal but razor blades and bugs. Well, here Art notices that Sienna is basically underneath the table. She's rummaging through the box of cereal that the kid had, where when she pulls her hand out, she can see her hand be badly scarred from the razor blades. She's bleeding, so on and so forth. Well, here she sees Art approaching her, to where she goes back into the box, into the cereal box. Well, here she pulls a sword out of the cereal box, and as Art goes to hit her with the flamethrower, the sword protects her from being burned. And then, as she wakes up in her room, her wings that she had created for her costume is on fire. Her entire mantle is on fire. Now, why this is a very interesting moment in this movie for me is because, again, this further kind of even puts Art into that category with Freddy Krueger as well, because Sienna was able to bring something that was in this dream that she had of Art into reality. This is something that we've seen done in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and this is something that I felt that Damien Leone has incorporated with the Art the Clown character and in Terrifier 2. Calm down. It's okay. All right, so I'm gonna mute this for a second, guys, while he barks his head off, and I will be right back in a second. Okay, now we are back. You guys know how it is. I try my best to not have so much noise in the background, but unfortunately, pets are gonna be pets, and that's just what it is. But again, so we see Sienna after using that sword to block the flamethrower, we see her entire mantle catch on fire. Well, why that sword is of grave importance is that is a sword that her father gave her before he died. He gave her that sword, and it's later found out that he actually inspired the Princess Warrior character that Sienna is trying to dress up for on Halloween night. We then go to the school where we see Jonathan in class. We see Jonathan in class at school, and then he gets asked to be excused from his class to go use the bathroom. And then we see that he sees Art the Clown and Emily in the hallway. Now, we see that they have. All right, guys, give me a second. I apologize. Give me 1 second. Okay, so back again. I apologize for the excessive barking of the dogs. So again, as I was saying, we get to the scene where we see Jonathan in the hallway in his school. He actually sees Art the Clown and Emily playing with this possum, this dead possum that was actually outside that his classmates were using to play a prank on a fellow classmate. Now, in that scene, we also get the cameo of Felicia Rose. She is the school principal. But again, unfortunately, I couldn't fit that overlay here because I have a limited cap on StreamYard in terms of how many overlays I can present and share with you guys. But Jonathan, he sees Art the Clown, he sees Emily there, obviously he gets spooked out, and they proceed to throw the dead possum at him to where obviously he catches it, he gets blood all over his shirt, and then he takes off. Well, his principal sees him taking off and then sees the dead possum on the ground, on the floor. So she assumes that Jonathan had brought a dead animal into school, which obviously wasn't the case. That was Art the Clown and Emily, but they basically framed Jonathan to look like he brought an animal into school, which obviously gets him in trouble later on in the film. We then move on to this next scene where we see Sienna as she meets up with her friends. Her and her friends are having a conversation about Victoria Hayes, to where you see Sienna kind of have a panic attack, and then she proceeds to tell her friends about the events that took place in her dream. And they basically, in so many ways, try to shut it off as she's just being delusional in so many ways that basically the fire that was in her room caused her to have the bad dream. But Sienna is obviously she's not buying it. She's starting to feel that something is definitely wrong here. There's something that is going to happen. And I think this scene is somewhat important is because it gives you an in-depth look into the trauma that this character is going through. It is elaborated throughout the film that she actually spent time in a psychiatric ward. She takes medication, so on and so forth. So this, especially with the fact that she lost her father. So this character, especially in this scene, is where you start to see the trauma that this character has went through really pour out of her. We then move on to the Halloween store shop where Sienna has to go buy a new pair of angel wings because, as you see, the ones that she created was burnt up in flames. To where she actually encounters Art the Clown in this Halloween shop, and she obviously gets spooked out. She's trying to get away from him as fast as she can, in this scene, he is just having a ball toying with her, absolutely toying with her. You know, she left her she left her purse. Excuse me. She left her purse in the back room where she had got the angel rings, and Art had brought it to her. He's sitting there trying sunglasses on. He's, blow horns, just being a complete nut. Anything to spook Sienna out, and it works. She, grabs her, she purchases what she purchases, and then she runs out of there like she's scared for her life. Well, then we see Art go to the front door to where we think he's following after Sienna, but he doesn't. He locks the front door to the shop so that nobody else gets in, and then he proceeds to brutalize and kill the cashier, Ricky, who was giving Art some choice words in the store for messing with Sienna. So you just had to know, especially with Ricky, which I like the Ricky character. Guy had some balls on him. He wasn't shy. He wasn't afraid. You know what I mean? But when Ricky started running his mouth to Art, you just knew at some point this character was gonna get it. Art was gonna fuck him up. You just knew it. And that's exactly what happened. So then we move forward here to where we go back to the house. Jonathan and Sienna are having a conversation because obviously had gotten in trouble and punished by his mother for the incident that happened at school, to where Jonathan pulls out this book, a sketchbook. That was the kids' father's. This was their father's sketchbook. To where, before the murders even happened, the Miles County Massacre, before Art the Clown even started his killing spree, their father was drawing these murders and these incidents in his sketchbook. This is really important, in my opinion, because now this opens the door for a lot of speculation on just who was the Shaw's father. Who was these kids' father? How is he connected to Art the Clown? How did he see these things happening before they actually happened? And of course, this also shows, the sketchbook also shows the connection that the father created for Sienna and this Princess Warrior character. As in his sketchbook, he dubs Sienna as the one who can only really stop Art the Clown. Now, I want to point something out here real quickly, guys. Look at the face in the sketch that Sienna is holding. That's not Art the Clown's face. That is another demon's face, in my opinion. Could this be the demon, the main demon that is controlling Art the Clown and controlling Emily, so on and so forth? That is not Art the Clown's face. Excuse me. The nose looks similar, but that's not Art the Clown. Who is this demon that Sienna? Who's the demon that this sketch is holding? The head, she's holding the head. Definitely something that is going to be interesting finding out in Terrifier 3, because I think that there's definitely more layers to who this demon is than what meets the eye. Again, guys, like, it's crazy, the storytelling with this movie. In so many ways, I'm left speechless about it, because it's just, especially as I'm talking it over here with you guys, it's just like, wow, like, it just really is. It's fun, it's fascinating, and again, I personally think that whoever this demon is in this sketch with Sienna, this is the main demon that is behind Art the Clown. I'll leave it at that. We then move on to this scene with Sienna's friend Allie as he's giving out candy to all the trick-or-treaters, to where Art shows up at her house as a trick-or-treater. Obviously, because he is an adult, Allie is kind of like poking fun at him and stuff, and she acknowledges that he's wearing the Art the Clown costume, but she's not aware that this is actually Art the Clown. She thinks that this is just somebody dressed up for Halloween in an Art the Clown costume. But obviously, she's not going to give him any candy because he's an adult. Well, this somewhat enrages Art the Clown, to where after she shuts the door, he's banging on the door, trying to get her to come back out, what she does, and he holds his bag out wanting candy. So she looks at him. She's like, well, you mean to tell me if I give you candy, then you'll leave? And he tells her yes. Well, he shakes his head yes. So she throws the candy at him. But while throwing the candy at him, she gets a glimpse into his bag and sees all the bloody tools, bloody saws, all that stuff. So she instantly becomes alarmed, but basically nothing really comes out of this scene. But this is just basically a precursor for what's going to happen to Annie a few moments later. We then move on to where we see Sienna watching the TV screen. She's watching News 5 as they are talking about Victoria Hayes and Miles County Massacre, so on and so forth. And in this scene, you hear the reporter talking about how Victoria Hayes was in a psychiatric ward and, received treatment for her recovery, so on and so forth. And then she also says, just like you, Sienna, this causes Sienna to have a panic attack. This is where you see Sienna take her medicine, her pills, so on and so forth, that she's taken, which I'm going to assume they are antipsychotics, because basically in so many ways in this news report, that's what this reporter hinted at with the Sienna Shaw character, that she is basically a psychotic. She's on antipsychotic medicine. She went to a psychiatric ward where she received treatments, so on and so forth. So that just adds another layer to the trauma of the Sienna Shaw character, because now we know not only obviously has she lost her father and she's obviously going through a grief process, but there may have been a moment where she had psychotic tendencies to her. So again, just another layer to add to the already incredible character of this Sienna Shaw character. And then after this, where we see Sienna have her panic attack, we see her gather herself, get herself together to where she goes and gets dressed up for the Halloween party. And you see the entire outfit that she has been working towards for months come out in full effect. This is the vision that her father had for her with this costume, and it looks phenomenal. Like, she definitely looks like a legit real warrior fucking princess. Like, I love the costume. I just think, and the hair, the braided to go with it, it just really gives this character a badass look that obviously Damien Leon was going for. And I honestly can't think of a better costume for this character to be wearing. And it adds to that in terms of she is our final girl, she is our main character. When do we really see in horror our final girl have something like this? Like, to where she has a costume of like a warrior princess or something of significance. You never really see that, which I feel like adds a really cool layer to this character. All right, guys. So before I get into this next scene, I am going to mute it here for a second because I have some people coming through the front door. And as you can hear, the dogs are going crazy. All right, everyone. I don't want to keep you guys holding. We're just going to have to get through the barks that they're going to keep barking. Unfortunately, I'm assuming we have maintenance here in the apartment building, so this causes extra noise. But we'll try to get through it. I apologize for the distraction. But as I was about to say, we get back to Annie's house where She creeps downstairs after hearing a noise, to where after hearing this noise, she realizes that her back patio window has been shattered, to where we end up seeing Art reveal himself in her kitchen, where he chases her upstairs and proceeds to brutally attack her. We then see her mother a few moments later come into the house and realize the same broken glass that is on the back patio. This leads her to run upstairs to where she finds Art the Clown brutally hacking her daughter's body to pieces. Honestly, and I've heard a lot of people threw up off of this scene, and I can understand why. This is honestly the most brutal scene so far in both Terrifier films. We then move on to the party sequence as Sienna and her friend Brooke are now at the party that they were planning on going to for Halloween. As you see, Sienna is trying to get a hold of Annie, but there's obviously Annie is now dead, so there's no hope for her to get a hold of Annie, but she doesn't know this at this time. But they arrive at the party. Brooke is ready to have a good time. She basically tells Sienna to loosen up. Annie will show up when she shows up, and that's just all there is to it. We then go back to Annie's house to where we see a bunch of trick-or-treaters show up, to where Art opens the door and starts serving them candy using Annie's mother's head as a bowl for the candy. Like, guys, like, that's creativity right there. Like, it really is. And it's fucking hilarious. It is. Like, imagine seeing, like, of course, you really probably wouldn't know, and you really wouldn't hope it would happen. But imagine seeing somebody use somebody's actual head and skull as a bowl to serve candy to kids on Halloween. Like, that's fucking creative as fuck, if you ask me. I love it. We now move back to the house where we see Barbara and Jonathan having a conversation where Barbara tries to, cheer up Jonathan because she grounded him. He didn't get to do any of his plans for Halloween, where he brings up the sketchbook to his mother about the father's sketchbook. Now, this is what is interesting, is when he brought up the sketchbook to Sienna. Sienna had said to him, "Where did you get this? We've been looking for this for months." But yet when he approaches Barbara with the book, she makes it seem like he has been basically shoving this book down her throat, which makes me believe that Barbara knew about the sketchbook. Well, obviously they all knew about the sketchbook, but it leads me to believe that the sketchbook was hidden from Sienna for a reason, which is why she said, "Where did you find this? We've been looking for this for months." But then Barbara was like, "Enough with this fucking book." That lets you know right there that Barbara has already been approached with this sketchbook multiple times before from Jonathan. So it just really makes me think, was she trying to keep that sketchbook away from Sienna, and why? Hopefully that question will get answered in Terrifier 3. After Jonathan and his mom get into an argument and she slaps him and he ends up running out of the house, we see Barbara, going through it. There's a moment where she's crying, she's drinking wine. Obviously, the grief of losing her husband and then having to deal with both of her children as a single mother is really starting to grow and wane on her, to where you just see that trauma pouring out. Well, she hears a noise in the garage. When she goes in the garage, she sees that her car is covered in shaving cream and has been smashed with a lantern, and there's "bitch" written on it. And she thinks it's Jonathan because when she tore up the scrapbook that was Jonathan's father's, Jonathan had called her a bitch. So at this point in time, she is thinking that Jonathan has literally went through great lengths to vandalize her car in this fashion. We then see Jonathan as we saw him running away from the house. He's just basically running around the neighborhood trying to get away from the house, to where he sees the van that Art the Clown uses. He approaches the van and you see Emily, the little demon girl, inside, and you see her eyes start to glow. And then we see Jonathan basically run away, get scared, so on and so forth. But this is one of the first moments, if I can recollect correctly, I may be wrong, where we really see the demon, that glow in the eyes. we see that this is a demon that is at work here in the film, and that it is a demon that is not only obviously portraying the vessel of Emily, also portraying the vessel of Art the Clown as well. We then kick it back to Barbara in the garage where she's trying to clean up her car. Now, keep in mind, in between this scene, she did end up calling Sienna at the party to where she was going off about Jonathan, telling Sienna that she was basically going to send Jonathan away, so on and so forth, to where her and Sienna have a moment where Sienna acknowledges and tells her mom that she loves her because she says she doesn't do it enough. To where, even though initially Barbara was skeptical about Sienna being drunk and was basically going to be mad at Sienna too, she kind of calms down, tells Sienna to, enjoy your party, have a great time, I'll see you when you get home. Barb proceeds to keep cleaning off her car. The moment she wipes off the shaving cream from her driver's side window, you see Art the Clown sitting in the car, and he has a shotgun, and he blows her head off. Truly a shocking moment. I did not expect Barbara to die in this movie. I actually like her character a lot. It's sad to see her get killed. I thought that being that we were following the daughter and the son, that she was also going to be a part of the finale as well. But obviously that is not the case. And this is what you got to give Damien Leone credit for. He's not afraid to kill his main characters off. That is something we have talked about in the Scream franchise and other horror movie franchises. Being too afraid to take risks and kill characters that we like. Damien Leone does not have that fear whatsoever, and I love him for that. Then move on back to the party where we see Sienna having a great time, enjoying herself. It is revealed along the way by Brooke that Brooke had slipped a Molly into her drink, which is why Sienna was feeling all euphoric and feeling all good at this party. Well, here, while she is dancing, she starts seeing visions of Emily, the little demon girl that is with Art the Clown, to where it causes Sienna to have a episode. She starts freaking out, she starts screaming, so on and so forth, which prompts Sienna, Brooke, and Brooke's boyfriend, who is along with them, to leave the party. We then get back to the house where Jonathan gets back home, but upon getting back home, he walks into the door, and before going upstairs, he looks into the kitchen and he sees his mother with her brains splattered all over the place, just sitting in a chair. We then see Art the Clown come from the kitchen with an apron on, a bell, and mashed potatoes, to where he stuffs the mashed potatoes inside of the face, the open face of Barbara. Truly a gruesome moment, especially for any kid to walk into. But I'm sorry, I could not help but laugh, especially with Art in that damn apron and that bell. Classic, in my opinion. We then move on to the vehicle where we see Sienna, Brooke, and Brooke's boyfriend, basically driving. They're taking Sienna home, to where Sienna gets a phone call from Jonathan saying that she needs him. He needs her. Sorry. Excuse me. He needs her to pick him up at the old carnival. That his friends left him stranded out there, so on and so forth, and that he needs her help. Well, as we are all well aware, if you have watched the film, this is not Jonathan. This is Emily using Jonathan's voice. And that's the thing about this demon, this entity that is basically using the vessel of Emily and Art, is that this demon not only does it have the crazy glow eyes, this demon can also speak in other characters' voices in order to trick their victim, which I thought was a really cool element to add to that demon's character. But as you see, they basically lure Sienna to the carnival. And as Sienna arrives, she's messaging Jonathan's phone. She's, asking him, where are you at? We're here. Like, let's go, so on and so forth. They use Jonathan's phones to text Sienna back. They basically tell Sienna that Jonathan's stuck. She asks, where are you stuck? Where are you? And they say the Terrifier. Now, obviously, this is where the meaning of the Terrifier title obviously does get encapsulated, because the Terrifier is basically a ride at this carnival. And the Terrifier ride that is at this carnival is where Art the Clown killed Emily. This was also confirmed by Brooke when she was given the rundown of the place to her boyfriend when Sienna got out of the car. Terrifier is where Art the Clown killed Emily. So that's where this all ties into. This all ties into the Terrifier ride, the Terrifier amusement park, if you will. That's what you want to call it, at this carnival. After a few moments go by, we see all hell's breaks loose. Sienna's on her way to try to find Jonathan, but in the meantime, we see Brooke and her boyfriend outside in the car. Art proceeds to not only destroy her boyfriend, but destroy his manhood. If you watch that scene, you know what I'm talking about. He's straight snip my boy's dang off, man. It was terrible. It made me cringe, as a man having to see that shit. But all hell breaks loose. Art, basically kills off the boyfriend. He chases Brooke into the carnival, into the building, where he kills her as well, brutally, and so on and so forth, to where Sienna walks in on this in so many ways. She walks in on Brooke's dead body, where Art proceeds to attack her as well. And obviously, Jonathan shows up after waking up, after being sedated, so on and so forth. He wakes up and he walks in to Art about to attack Sienna, to where Sienna sees this and tells Jonathan to run. So basically, Art goes after Jonathan. Sienna picks up this makeshift spike that Art had made for himself. He made it with forks, he made it with knives, everything. That is probably the most innovative spike that I have ever seen in my life. But basically, the crux is that now we are entering the final act. It's about to be an all-out war. Art and Sienna go to war with each other. They're busting each other up. Art stabbing her, throwing her up against the ceiling walls. She's stabbing Art, hitting him, doing whatever she's got to do to survive. It is literally pandemonium and all-out war between these two. And in my opinion, these two's fight scene, Sienna's and Art's fight scenes, is one of the greatest horror movie fight scenes between Final Girl and Killer that I have ever watched. For a moment, we do see Art gain the upper hand on Sienna, to where he uses the sword that her father had gifted her before his death to stab Sienna, and he pushes her into this mystical water tank that leads her, when she gets down to the bottom of the tank, this leads her to the Clown Cafe that she dreamt about earlier in the movie. As Art basically feels that he has won. Everybody, she loses consciousness in this tank for a second. So for a second, you do think that maybe Sienna is dead. However, they pan back to Sienna's sword that Art had dropped on the ground after stabbing her. And you see this sword somehow, some way, it looks like a lifesaver from Star Wars at this point. Some mythical force powers over the sword, but not only powers over the sword, also powers in Sienna as well, into her wound. The wound where Art had stabbed her in the stomach, that the sword entered, that lit up as well, and it rejuvenated and it re-resurrected Sienna from the dead. To where we end up seeing, while Art is basically chewing on Jonathan's leg in another scene, after this, we see Art basically trying to finish off Jonathan, to where we do see Sienna come from beyond Art and basically gain the upper hand and proceed to take Art out, to the point where she slices his head off. She completely decapitates Art. Well, after she decapitates Art, again, you think this shit's really over. It's not. So then we move on and we see Emily show up, and we see her holding Art's decapitated head, and she's laughing. It seems that Art is telling her something, whispering something, and that's what's making her laugh. But then you also see her eyes glow up. That demon is coming out of her. But then nothing happens. She just takes his head, starts rocking it like the cat lady would do with the doll in the original and walks away. That scene where you see Emily rocking Art the Clown's head, that to me was the confirmation that Emily is not only his first victim, but that she was the cat lady's daughter that the cat lady was rambling on about in the original film. After the little girl walks away, after Emily walks away and really does no more harm to the siblings, we see the siblings embrace. Sienna, hugs her brother. They're happy to be alive. And then obviously the end credits roll. But as I said a few moments ago, just when you think the movie is over, it's not. So then we pick up at the Miles County Psychiatric Hospital that was established in 1951, as you can see there. And we get the cameo of my guy, wrestling legend Chris Jericho, as one of the doctors that is at the psychiatric ward. But then we also see a young lady arrive there behind him, and one of his coworkers show up, to work, as she's been tending to Victoria Hayes all day. You hear Chris Jericho's character ask her about it. How's it going? How's it been, with tending to Victoria Hayes, and so on and so forth, just getting information. Well, then we cut to Victoria's room where we see her writing obscenities on the wall. We see her writing whore. We see her writing bitch. We see her writing all types of stuff on the wall. But then as she pulls back, you see in the middle of this wall, in a big heart, it says Vicky and Art. And then as the nurse is looking through basically the door window, she sees Vicky giving birth to Art the Clown's head, which obviously causes her to freak out, grosses her out, so on and so forth. And then you see Vicky's eyes light up like the demon did, like the little girl did. So basically, it is confirmed at the end of Terrifier 2 that not only is obviously Vicky no longer the same person that she once was before, but like I mentioned earlier, this entity has now turned Vicky into an ally of Art the Clown. I mentioned it earlier, how it seems that whatever this entity is, whoever Art seems to kill, it seems that they use that vessel to assist Art in his madness. Now, we don't know if we're going to end up seeing Tara or Dawn in Terrifier 3 come back in so many ways as a Deadite in so many ways, because that's what these characters kind of remind me of. They kind of remind me of Deadites. But it's not impossible to think that could happen. If you look at the Victoria Hayes character and you look at the Emily character, both of these characters were characters that were killed off by Art the Clown that would subsequently, because of this entity, become allies with him. So I think that's very, very intriguing about these dead characters, is that this entity is able to bring them back to life to help Art the Clown in his madness. Absolutely love it. So my encapsulation on Terrifier 2, as I said earlier, I think it's better than the original because we get more layers to the story. We get more explanations to the story. This is a perfect example of how you start a story, you proceed to finish it, or you keep going with the story in the second film, but you also add a new story that layers in perfectly with what you were originally doing and what you were originally trying to tell. We don't get that enough in horror movies. Sometimes the storytelling is so all over the place. Not with this film, not with these two films. Damien does a great job of telling his story, continuing his story, but adding a new story that will encapsulate with the overall story. And I love that. And that's why I have gone down this rabbit hole with the Terrifier franchise over the last few days, is because of that storytelling. That's the hook for me. It's the storytelling. The brutality is great. Love my blood and guts. But I don't just want senseless blood and guts, I want it to have a meaning. And to me, For the most part, almost every kill that I've seen so far in Terrifier has a meaning to it. And that's what I love about it. Again, it's Deanna Shaw character. She might fuck around and really be my favorite final girl right now. Honestly, I'm being dead serious. Like, not of all time, but as of the modern era of final girls, her and Samantha Carpenter are really neck and neck. And that's another video I want to do as well, is do like a comparison video between Samantha Carpenter's final girl character in Scream and Sienna Shaw's final girl character in Terrifier 2. Because when you break down both characters, there's a lot of similarities between these characters. A lot. But again, I love the whole warrior princess aspect of it. Little Zelda look, kind of like Xena, the warrior princess from the 90s. I don't know if you guys remember that shit. I do, because that used to be my shit. You know, the chick who played her was my girl. I'll just say that. But I love that whole aspect of having our final girl not just have a meaning from a storyline standpoint, but we have a visual that you don't really get to see, like I said, in the horror franchise. Usually our final girls, they're in tank tops, they're in jeans, they're in normal fucking clothing. Hardly ever do we get a final girl who is dressed for the occasion for Halloween, especially in this type of outfit, the warrior princess outfit. Perfect. Again, you couldn't have found a better actress to play this role. Stunt woman, MMA fighter, Lauren LaVara is fucking legit, and I fucking love her. I hope she gets to do more. I hope she does more horror movies. I really do. I really, really do. I will say this, and this might not be popular to some. If they're ever going to recast a Samantha Carpenter character in Scream, which I hope they don't do, but it is a possibility. But if they do, Lauren LaVar would be my choice to take on that role. She would be. But my overall take of Terrifier 2 is better than the first. The storytelling is even more heightened. It's fantastic. It's loads of fun. I feel like this. If you can get past the brutality aspect of these films, Terrifier is nothing but fun. It really is. You have a killer in Art the Clown who is not only a violent spectacle, but he's personality. He has so much personality. When he kills someone, when he's looking at somebody doing shit like that, or like, come on. It's that personality that really embellishes the character. And David Howard Thornton playing that character, couldn't found a better person if you ask me. I know that there was I knew his first name is Michael. Help me out in the chat what his last name is. Who played Art the Clown in All Hallows Eve. I forget his name. I know there was another actor who played Art the Clown initially, but Damien Leone, in my opinion, made the right choice by bringing David Howard Thornton in, because he just embodies what the Art the Clown character is meant to be, in my opinion. The meme type, expressions, the mannerisms, everything. I love the fact that we finally have a killer. We had it with Chucky, we had it with Freddy. But I'm talking about in terms of modern, updated, like 2000s on. I'm really glad to see we have a slasher, a killer in Art the Clown who is just as much fun as he is brutal. The Jonathan Shaw character, love that kid. I love how through him, in so many ways, we are getting through the story of the father, because he's the only one who believed in what his father was doing. He's the only one who believed in Art the Clown. He's the only one who is trying to really convince, like, look, I'm not a liar. This shit's for real. Something bad's going to happen tonight. Like, this kid's intuition is off the charts. And then not only just that, his investigating skills. Like, I'm watching this kid sit there, look shit up or whatever. I'm thinking it's me doing a video. Honestly, like, I love it. I love these characters. I love the tone. I love the brutality. I love the laughter. I love the sport. Everything about Terrifier 2, in my opinion, I can't find anything bad about it. I can't find nothing wrong. Nothing at all. Absolutely love Terrifier 2. And I am so excited for Terrifier 3, you guys. You guys have no like I can't wait. It's like that. It's like that. Like I am so down this rabbit hole with these two films. I'm so excited to see what Damien Leone is going to do for the third. Now, do have about 15 minutes here left on the stream, so I think this would be the perfect time to share with you all my theories for Terrifier 3 and what direction it could go in with the Art the Clown character based on what we've seen in the first few films. I honestly, as I said it earlier, I think there's going to be some familial ties. I have a feeling that Art the Clown might, not I'm just speculating here, guys, based on what I saw. Excuse me. Art the Clown might be the demon manifestation of Sienna and Jonathan's father. Think about it, you guys. Their father, he had the brain tumor. He started seeing these things. He was seeing these things play out before it actually happened. And then when he dies, Remember, he committed the S word. He dies. And then all of a sudden, Art the Clown surfaces. All these murders start happening. Coincidence? I don't think so. I personally think that when Sienna's dad, Jonathan's dad, was going through whatever he was going through, I don't like what Dom said earlier. He knew what he was going to do in terms of committing the S word. But maybe he made a deal with the devil to give him eternal life, which has allowed him to become Art the Clown, the very same entity that he was envisioning before his death. And think about this too, guys. What did Art the Clown do that I spoke about earlier when I did Terrifier 1 review? What did he do at the end of the movie? What did he do? He turned the gun on himself and he pulled the trigger. Deanna's father drank a bottle of Jack, as said by Brooke, and drove his car into a pole or something, into a wall. There's some similarities there. Both of them have basically harmed themselves. The only difference is, this is why I say Art was a demon before Terrifier 2. Before the coroner scene, Art was already a demon. Because when he pulls the gun out, when the cops are yelling at him, get your hands up, he starts smiling. Like, he knows this was the plan all along. The plan was to turn the gun on himself. Why? Because he knows he can't be killed. That's why he's been granted eternal life. So that smile, that turning the gun on himself, that didn't matter to Art. You know what I mean? It didn't matter that, he was going to do that to himself because he knew that he was going to be back one way or another. So that's why, in my opinion, you see that snarky ass smile when the cops are yelling at him. This was part of the plan. Okay, you think you're going to kill me, or you think I did this to myself, but little do you know, I have a higher power that grants me eternal life and grants me the opportunity to keep coming back to Miles County and keep being the slasher that I am in so many ways. Like, continue to kill people. Like, again, now another thing I want to point out as well, and I can't wait to really go back into the movies and clip this part out that I didn't get to put on here. There's a scene where they're going into the Terrifier where you see all these demons on, the outside panel on the logo. You see all these demon-like entities that are basically for design. I wonder if those entities are part of the entity that is controlling Art the Clown and Emily, or will those entities have a greater role in Terrifier 3? So, guys, it's crazy. Another thing that I think we should all take into account is the fact that Sienna Shaw, as was stated in Terrifier 2, is a known psychotic. In Terrifier 3, could Art the Clown try to frame her for all of the murders? Or for the new murders that take place in Terrifier 3? I think that aspect of I think that aspect of Sienna's character is going to be brightened up more in Terrifier 3. I think we're going to see more of that psychotic tendencies in so many ways, or whatever you want to call it, that trauma. I definitely think we're going to see more of that, especially given the fact that Barbara was killed. And that's another thing I didn't get to, showcase here in the overlay. There's a moment in Terrifier 2 where Sienna is basically, her and Jonathan are, they're obviously battling Art the Clown, whatever. There's a moment where Sienna, she sees her mother, Barbara. She sees her mother, Barbara. She doesn't know at this point that her mother is dead. But then when Barbara, hugs her and then releases the hug, she says, "Oh, so Jonathan told you." And you hear Jonathan, "Sienna, get away from her. That's not mommy." And then when Sienna looks back at her, she's a demon. Barbara's a demon. And then you see Sienna start to cry. She starts to break down. You see the emotion just pouring through the character, like excessively. You can see that the fact that now that she's lost both of her parents, this could be something that could trigger that inner psychotic that she has within her that they lay breadcrumbs in Terrifier 2. So, man, and again, so I'm glad I even brought Barbara up turning into a demon. Again, another dead character that Art the Clown killed that ended up turning into a demon or a deadite, whatever the fuck you want to call them. You can call them deadites if you want, because that's what they look like if you ask me. But one way or another, the point is, it seems that whatever dead character that Art kills, whichever one that has like a meaning or purpose to the story, the entity will bring them back, even if it's just for a split second, even if it's just for a small scene, like with Barbara. Art the Clown killed her. She comes back as a demon. So again, there's just so many layers to Terrifier. It's not just over excessive blood and guts, you guys. Guys, listen. If you have not watched Terrifier 1 or 2, for the simple fact that you don't want to see a lot of blood and guts, you're not a big fan of the splatter like that, I respect that. But I implore you, look past that. Look past all the over excessive blood and guts and really dig into the story. And I guarantee if you do that, you will have a way different perspective on how you view the Terrifier franchise and Art the Clown character. And I almost guarantee that you will want to not only watch the first, the second, but you will most likely show up to the theaters to watch the third film. Like, I honestly, after really digging into these movies and paying attention, I'm hooked. I'm enamored. I can't wait to talk about it some more. I'm not even going to lie. I'm going to reach out to my buddy, Killjoy Jake, here and see you in the coming weeks. If you would like to get together for an all Terrifier stream where we just go in on all of our theories, our thoughts, our hopes, and all that stuff. Like, I know Jake is really big into Terrifier, and I would love to have a conversation with him about this now that I am really caught up in the thick of things of what's going on and the story and so on and so forth. I would love to have that conversation. All right, so guys, I'm going to get to you guys' comments, catch up with you guys, and then I am going to wrap up this episode of the podcast. Again, if you haven't done so already, please shoot the podcast a like. It definitely helps out with the YouTube algorithm a ton, as well as if you happen to be a new viewer to the podcast and to the ISH6XS YouTube Horror Movie channel. Do me a solid, shoot the like button, shoot the subscribe button, as well as the notification icon so you get all the latest content updates to the channel. Become a member here to the channel, head over to the channel dashboard, shoot that join button, and join the party. I would love for you guys to become a member here and hang out with me as I talk horror movies and continue this journey here on YouTube and across other social media platforms as well. I ain't gonna lie, I don't know if y'all heard it or whatever, but I'm getting a little hangry. My stomach is rumbling. It's trying to tell me something, saying, "Feed me, motherfucker." Shit. And again, guys, I do want to apologize for everybody who has been here, for everybody who's stopped by this episode of the podcast, and everybody who is going to see this episode of the podcast, watching on replay. I greatly apologize for the extra little noise with the dogs barking. I have no control over that. Unfortunately, when we have people coming in through the apartment, through the front door, I have small dogs, and that's just what they do. It bugs me because I try my best to give you guys clean content where there's no background noise, no distraction, no interference. But sometimes you just got to push through the interference and just keep the content and the stream and the episode going. That's what you got to do sometimes. And I'm way behind. It's okay because I got this. We got this. We in this together. And real quick before I do read your comment, Dom, I am going to go grab me a drink, and then I will be right back. I will finish up you guys' comments, and then we will end the episode. All right, so I have returned, and Dominic St. Clair Studios with this comment. I have a theory or speculation that we. Oh, did I already see this? Yes, I already see it. I'm way behind. I apologize. Let me catch up here. Hey, what's going on, Patricia? I hope you're having a great day. And Patricia, being that you're here, I hope you are still here. If you are still watching, you can tell Scott that I am going to letting back in and stuff like that. I've given some deep thought. I've talked to a few, people and stuff like that, and we feel comfortable with it and stuff. So tell Scott, just keep an eye out, and he should be able to hop back in the chat at some point. But Patricia's saying between the scene when the daughter gets killed and Olivia gets killed by Charlie Walker, for which stuff do you find the most bloody and gory? I'm not going to lie, Patricia. I'm not going to answer that question right now because I'm talking about Terrifier. What I'll do is I'll go back to this stream. I will screenshot this comment from you, and then the next time I do a stream, I will touch on this comment. I greatly appreciate the comment, and I greatly appreciate you stopping in, Patricia. But I am strictly on Terrifier 1 and 2 today. I'm not talking about any stream right now. Gina says, have you seen the other two things Art was in? I think it was All Hallows Eve, and there's a short, but not short. I know about All Hallows Eve. I do not know about this short, Gina. So it might be something I'll have to fish for. I knew nothing about that. But thank you for putting me on if that is the case. I would love to see what that's about. Okay, so Dom is saying, I heard Terrifier 3 has a scene that a big studio didn't like. Yeah, I heard about that too, Dom. Yep, I heard about that too. It's probably very fucking brutal. I'm guaranteeing you, it's probably if they're sitting there saying that the big studios didn't want that particular scene, this scene might fuck around and be the most brutal scene in the entire franchise. Now, I said in Terrifier 2, Annie's death was the most brutal that we've seen so far, and I'm standing on business on that. But it doesn't mean in Terrifier 3 we could get a kill that is even more brutal than that. We see how Art the Clown does. He's a brutal chivato. But Dom saying I heard Terrifier 3 has a scene that a big studio didn't like, and they told Damien to take that scene away from the film, and Damien said no and decided to not work with that big studio. Yep, good for him. Fuck them. That's their problem. They're always trying to meddle in somebody's creation. Let the creator create. You fucking produce the product. Simple. That's it. That's all you have to do. You have one job. One job. You quote Halloran and Salt in Jigsaw. You have one job. One. That's all you have to do. Let the creators fucking create. Simple. Let the creators create. I don't understand why studios try to act like they have a moral code now, given all the movies that we have gotten throughout the years that have been approved by big studios to where we can see they don't have a fucking moral code. So I don't get it. Good for Damien. This is his baby. This is his creation. He should be able to fucking make it the way he sees fit. Simple. See, Dom, we are on the same boat, bro. See, yo, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, I agree with that. Like, I'm so on board with that. I really think that there's a big possibility that this motherfucker Art is actually the father of Sienna and Jonathan, bro. How crazy would that be? You talk about fucking storytelling, my man, bro. Damn it, man. Yo, you know what, man? The later half of the year needs to hurry up. I'm ready to watch Terrifier 3, guys. I'm ready to go. Dom saying, think about this. Art has some similarities to Freddy Krueger. Yes, he does. Because there are dream scenes with Sienna about Art the Clown. And guess why Freddy has eternal life? Because of the dream demon. Whoa. Yo, Dom. I'm gonna do a video about this, bro. You just you got my gears going, brother. You do. I've already kind of made those comparisons myself too. The whole Freddy Krueger and the dream shit. When you add in the demon aspect of it, and the last part where you said Freddy has eternal life because of dream demons, bro. I mean, could they be a part of the same universe? Freddy and Art? How about Freddy versus Art? Let's go. I'm all for it, bro. Like, yo, oh my God. That would be a slaughter fest right there. Like, wow. But no, you are 100% though. You're 100% right though, Dom. I definitely see the Freddy Krueger aspects of Art the Clown. I see the Michael Myers aspect of Art the Clown. Real quick, let's touch on that on Michael Myers Art the Clown aspect. Even though I'm going to probably end up doing a whole video about it, I'll give a little sneak peek about it. Think about this. 2017 was when the original Terrifier in Miles County, that's when the original murders took place. Terrifier 2 is based in 2018, Halloween time. What came out in 2018? Halloween 2018. So literally, Michael Myers and Art the Clown are killing people on Halloween night, just in different locations. That's sick, if you ask me. It's a nice tie-in. I love that tie-in. I don't know if they did it on purpose for that to be a tie-in, but I love the tie-in nonetheless. There's some other aspects of Art that remind me of Michael Myers as well. Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig in on a video with this, man. I really am. I'm gonna have to really dig in to this video and stuff. And I'll let you know, Dom, when I get that video done. I'll probably end up sending you the link first. You know what I mean? We're kind of like kindred spirits on this bad boy. We're on the same level with this, bro. So I can't wait to get into that video and really, express what I'm feeling and, speak my truth about it. I think we are on the same path, my friend. I think that there's a lot of truth to what you said in that comment. And it's fun, man. It's a fun time. It's a fun time to be a horror fan. Even though we have our issues with Scream right now, it's still a fun time to be a horror fan. And it's an even funner time to be a Terrifier fan. I'm so glad that I fucking stopped being naive and decided to give this franchise a chance. I was iffy at first, but I'm glad I took a chance. This franchise is phenomenal. Love it. Love Terrifier 1. Love Terrifier 2. Just absolutely love it. That's right, Dom. Let's go. That is right. Let's go. Freddy versus Art the Clown. Let's go. I would love to see that. That would be nuts. Imagine those two personalities in one movie. Those two personalities in one fucking movie. You have one who can talk, who chooses to talk, and has a ton of charisma and tons of personality. And then you have one who is completely silent, but the personality is on the same level as Freddy. I'm down for that, bro. I'm so down. So down. All right, everybody. This was definitely a fun time. I greatly appreciate everybody who stopped in for this episode of the podcast. If you are a fan of Terrifier 1, if you are a fan of Terrifier 2, definitely shoot this a like, shoot this a share. And if you happen to catch the replay for this episode of the podcast, leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think about Terrifier 1 and 2. Is it your cup of tea? Is it not your cup of tea? Let me know if it is your cup of tea. What are your favorite moments from Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2? All right, everybody. As you know, I'm your host and creator of the channel, Marcus. This is ISH6XS YouTube Horror Movie Channel. This is ISH6XS YouTube Horror Movie Podcast. I'm going to catch you guys later on tonight for episode. I'm going to say I'm on the fourth episode. Yeah, there we go. We're going to episode 4 later tonight at 11 o'clock. I am going to be on at 11 tonight for sure. I didn't get to do the double yesterday, but I am pulling a double episode today. Later on tonight, I will be coming back with episode 4 of the podcast, where I will be giving my spoiler review for Thanksgiving 2023. Eli Roth, Thanksgiving 2023. That should be a fun conversation as well. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will catch you guys later on tonight.
You are now watching ISH6XS YouTube Horror Movie Channel.
I shot him 6 times.